He pulls me in the coat room after school and asks to see my titties. Said it'd help him write poetry. I like them poems he teaches in Miss Dickinson's in English class, but expect she didn't have to see a man's thing to write 'em. He asked to see my titties all the time, talking pretty words to get me inside his mouth, listening to those pretty words. Sweeping me off my feet till I don't know what I'm doing in all the confusion of words, and is kneeling on the floor waiting to see my titties, face all bright as a light bulb. Next thing I know, my sweater's wrapped around my neck and his fingers are tugging at my nipples, hurting some 'cause I don't notice 'cause the words are so pretty they fall over my body like silk, weakening my knees, and then words go silent. 'Cause one of my titties is stuck in his mouth and a hand has grabbed a hold of the other one, and I'm wishing I was someplace else. 'Cause there ain't no dignity in having the English teacher sucking and tugging at my titties. Finally, he lets go after what seems a long time and starts talking poetry again. The coat room's filled with his words, pretty words, that float through the air with the sweetness I long for when life don't seem so good. 'Cause my daddy's dead and Mama shut herself in the bedroom after the funeral and hasn't come out since. The words push away the loneliness and make my body shudder, but I'd be satisfied to hear them without Mr. Slope's hands creeping over my body, taking my attention from the poetry that pulls me away from myself. Mama sits in that room day and night. Sometimes I hear her crying. Low, deep moans pressing her sadness upon my heart. I cover my ears, not wanting to go into that lonely room where she mourns the loss of Daddy, dead from a dog bite. That's why I don't like Mr. Slope sucking on me, afraid his teeth will sink into my skin and make me roll around on the ground, same as Daddy done, crazy from what ailed him. Everyone was scared he'd bite him. All the while Mama crying and the neighbors throwing a rope around him, tying him to a tree in the backyard till he died a few days later, wore out and covered with spit. Mr. Slope's voice rises and quivers some when he gets to a especially powerful passage that moves him to an alarming excitement. And then the next thing I know, his hands are slowly moving up my legs to touch the lace on my panties. I can feel his fingers prying underneath the cotton band, pushing aside the cotton to let in his fingers, and the pretty words going straight for my opening. I want to die from the confusion when feeling Mr. Slope's big fingers moving towards the opening, wanting something. I cry, small, soft moans. My mama's voice, a wounded animal in a room where nobody's there to care what's in its heart. I stop crying and I'm amazed to hear the words still floating in the air, only they're beginning to bang into one another, becoming noisy and unpleasant, loud, booming words that no longer soothe my loneliness, but shove me further into what's empty. My body's stiff now. I can feel the ugly words crash into my soul. At the same time, Mr. Slope shoves his fingers up the dry opening between my legs. He calls himself a poet, but I don't find no poetry in having my body pried open by a strong-smelling man whose whiskers are rubbing against my legs while he compares me to a morning glory, or some such flower with buds and petals, waiting to be plucked from the vine. All too soon his words have lost their power, and now life really does seem ugly. And the next thing I know, I'm on the floor with my skirt thrown over my head. Nothing showing but what he wants. My buds and petals blooming sadly, a 15-year-old vine, about to be plucked by a man who calls himself a poet. Mama sits alone in her room, and sometimes I watch from the doorway. I know she's wanting Daddy, wanting him to come home like he did every day for years, holding her and saying, "You're my sugar." I wonder if anyone will ever tell me I'm their sugar. Tell me, "I love you, June May. You're my sugar. You're my everything." Like Daddy done to Mama before a dog bit him, and the shame of it is, it wasn't even a big dog, but a dumb, cross-eyed beagle. His face is pressed between my legs, and I can feel his tongue slapping against my skin up the side of one leg and down the other. I close my eyes and pretend I'm someplace else. I pretend the English teacher isn't rooting around my body, wanting something that don't belong to him. I see my daddy laughing in the sunshine, big teeth sparkling and calling my name. I run as fast as I can, but he's gone. And Mama left sitting in a lonely room, making it hard to pretend the English teacher didn't just take out his thing and shove it inside my opening. He's moving hard against me. His thing hurts and I scream, but my screams are stopped dead into the cold palm of his hand over my mouth. He's laying heavy on me and I can't move. I thrash useless on the coat-room floor and my chair is stolen by the English teacher. And I don't even make A's. He keeps shoving for what seems like an hour, but it's probably only a minute, and then he sighs and zips up his pants. I keep my eyes closed and stay laying on the hard floor, understanding exactly why my mama misses a man who held her gently and called her sugar. Ain't nobody ever gonna call me sugar now.